channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back from that action. Manchester City 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 2 at full time. But before we divulge into that, apologies to all of you, our esteemed viewers. I did a preview of Arsenal versus Chelsea. That game comes up tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. That's East African time. But I realized very late into the preview that our microphone had gone off and I wasn't getting any feedback. So apologies for that. I've had to delete that broadcast. But anyways, full-time score, Manchester City 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 2. I had hoped that Brighton would beat up against Man City by 2-1, but it has been a 2-2 draw, a very entertaining game. I think one of the best games of the Premier League we've watched this season. It was a very open game, end-to-end attacking from both sides. Quite a number of missed chances. The Brighton and Hove Albion goalkeeper brought into action to make a save, I think, from Omar Mamouche, although he was deemed offside at the time. But Man City broke into the lead through their striker, Erling Haaland, who has now reached 100 Premier League goals in less than 100 Premier League appearances, by the way. So the fastest player to reach 100 Premier League goals. So he did a step up to a penalty, which he converted, and to give them a 1-0 lead. And then Pavis Estupinan also, when Brighton and Hove Albion won a free kick on the other end, stepped up and took a brilliant free kick that hit the upright before ending up in the back of the net. Stefan Ortega was left standing just by, only to watch as that ball went into the goal. And then, of course, Man City continued to press forward. As they pressed on forward, they restored their lead through Omar Mamouche with a very, very brilliant strike of a goal. So Omar Mamouche making quite a name for himself at Manchester City. Remember, he did join them only recently in January. He did join with the likes of Kushanov, Nico Gonzalez, and Victor Reis. Yes, from Paramires. So those were the 4 players that did join Man City in January, and he's quite been impressive. But before that, Savinho had missed a golden opportunity to, score for Man City. Jeremy Doku, I thought his final ball once again was very lacking. His decision making in the final third was very wanting. That's been his character, or he's been characterized of that on numerous occasions. I mean, sometimes you get the feeling that City midfield jaywalked. I thought Carlos Baleba was quite brilliant. And then, of course, in the second half, unfortunately, it was an own goal. It was an own goal. Kushanov deflecting the ball into the back of his own net beyond the reach of Stefan Ortega. So very, very beautiful stuff there from very, very beautiful stuff from Brighton and Hove Albion. Either side could have won it, but I thought overall, for me, Brighton were the better side as far as things did transpire in the course of that particular game. Coming up to your screens very soon, in a couple of minutes, is Bournemouth versus Brentford. That game is kicking off at 8:30 p.m. But I will be moving to the Spanish La Liga to watch Real Madrid up against Villarreal, because that game does kick off at the same time. So I'm going to be glued on that. Then the other game, Everton did share the spoils with West Ham in a 1-1 draw. Very, very entertaining game. They needed a goal from O'Brien. That's Everton late into stoppage time or added time to rescue a point or against David Moyes' former bosses. Thomas Tuchel had fired West Ham into that lead. West Ham under the charges of Graham Potter. Remember, it was David Moyes that 2 seasons ago guided, I think, West Ham to their triumph in the UEFA Conference League before leaving the club. He did leave the club at the end of last season, and he was replaced by Julian Lopetegui, who was then sacked subsequently in the course of the season due to a run of poor results and replaced by the former Brighton and Hove manager as well as ex-Chelsea manager in Graham Potter. So he is in charge there. Hi, channel. Towards a channel. Hi, how are you doing? Thank you for tuning into the broadcast. So it finished 1-1 there for Everton, and then between Everton and West Ham. The other game we did witness Nottingham Forest beat up against Ipswich Town by 4-2. Now it's a result we had predicted, only that, like I said, I've had to take down that broadcast in which we did our preview. Excuse me, in which we did our preview because I realized our microphone had gone off during the course of the broadcast, so I couldn't leave it up. But our prediction had been that Nottingham Forest would beat up against a very struggling Ipswich Town, who are under the threat of relegation. So that game did finish 4-2. Milenkovic was on target for Nottingham Forest, as well as Anthony Elanga with a brace in this one, and Silva were the ones on target for Nottingham Forest. Then Kajutsi as well as Hurst were on target for Ipswich Town. Then the other game, Wolverhampton Wanderers, like we had predicted, it had been a perfect score for us, a 2-1 victory over Southampton. Remember, Wolves are battling relegation, but they are they're a bit further ahead compared to the bottom three, that is Leicester City, Ipswich Town, who both have 17 points, and Southampton, who are bottom of the league summit with just 9 points. So at least Vita Pereira goes home with something to be excited about following that 2-1 victory over Southampton. Larsson was on target with 2 brilliant goals there is Jürgen Strand Larsson did score the brace that won it for Victor Pereira's side there. And then of course Onwachi, forgive the cough, forgive that. Onachu scored the Southampton consolation. But anyway, like I said, that action does continue. Brentford up against FC Bournemouth. It's at the Vitality Stadium where the sides are meeting, and then action will continue tomorrow when Arsenal hosts Chelsea at 6:30 p.m. East African time. That's a London derby, just as much as Fulham when they entertain Fulham will be up against I'm forgetting. Sorry about that, guys. But yes, Fulham in action against Tottenham Hotspurs in another London derby, same kickoff time as that game of Arsenal, 6:30 p.m. And then very late on in the night, that's at 10 p.m. We'll have Manchester United travel to Leicester City. Leicester City winless in their last 5 games. They've lost all 5 without scoring a single goal in those last 5 fixtures. The very last being a 1-0 loss to Chelsea. In there, they did lose to, of course, they lost to Arsenal 2-0. They were beaten by, I think, West Ham by 4-0. I mean, they've had a very poor run of results without scoring. So clearly, they will need to pull up their stockings. And that particular game would eventually end up with the sacking of Ruud van Nistelrooy, because personally I do expect Manchester United to go and sweep Leicester off their feet and beat them by 3-0. That's my expectation, unless, like the case has always been throughout the course of the season, Manchester United delivers a surprise for us. But still, again, tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. there is the Carabao Cup final between Liverpool and Newcastle. That game will be on in the Carabao Cup final from Wembley Stadium. We had discussed a bit of that, but again, like I said, I've had to delete that live broadcast that we had did in preview of these games because a microphone went off. But expect quite the battle, especially in that midfield of Bruno Guimaraes, Jolinton, Sandro Tonali. On the other side, Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister, and Dominic Szoboszlai. Then Newcastle's defense having to contend with the likes of Mohamed Salah, Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo, who is the top scorer in the competition with 5 goals. The other who had been in second place, of course, already knocked out. That was Arsenal's Gabriel Jesus, already injured and ruled out for the rest of the season. But Arsenal are no longer in contention. So, and then, of course, like I noted, Anthony Gordon misses that particular game through suspension. Isak will have to inspire his side as alongside Jacob Murphy, maybe Callum Wilson could be those called upon to help Newcastle and then Harvey Barnes to come to the rescue of Newcastle if they are to get their hands on their first piece of silverware under the charges of Eddie Howe. Liverpool want to get over that disappointment of getting knocked out of the UEFA Champions League by PSG by going on to beat Newcastle to win that trophy. They are the reigning champions of the Carabao Cup after beating Chelsea last season by a 1-0 in the finals. So clearly, they want to defend that title. The other very big fixture of the weekend, Atletico Madrid will be up against Barcelona in the Spanish La Liga. That game will be at 11 p.m. East African time on Super Sunday. So do look out for that particular game as well. Otherwise, thank you for tuning in. Allow me to end it here for now. And I catch you guys on the next edition once we do have new results. Maybe I can hop on here in the aftermath of that Real Madrid game or even the FC Bournemouth game. But plenty of action for us tomorrow. Super Sunday is super loaded. Very, very big games. United Leicester, that's at the Leicester City Stadium. Arsenal at the Emirates up against Chelsea. And then Tottenham up against Fulham. Yeah, very at Craven Cottage. That game is at Craven Cottage. So very, very entertaining games to look forward to. And of course, the Carabao Cup final and eventually that game between Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. Otherwise, stay blessed and I'll see you next time. Have a wonderful rest of the night for yourselves.